with literally just the HighLevel platform, and ended up hating working with real estate agents because I was pulling teeth to try to get them to sell me a $97 product. In the midst of all of that, and this is really important for my journey, is that the coaching program that I was a part of, they just reached out to me and they're like, hey, you're already helping all of our students inside of our program with HighLevel. Do you want to just coach inside of our group? And then you can stay in it for free. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great deal. So I started coaching other people on how to use HighLevel. And I just started to fall in love with that aspect of it and really pushing the limits of what HighLevel could do, and really now solving problems for agencies who are trying to solve problems for their clients.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast session with HighLevel. Our podcast is called the Spotlight Sessions, where we bring in top players in our ecosystem, and we bring them in to kind of help you understand what's possible, what's available to you, and really help you navigate the world of HighLevel. And today's topic is a little unorthodox, and myself and Adam, we spent a little bit of time going through it. And our topic is called HighLevel Misunderstood in 2023. And I got a chance to actually do a podcast with Adam a few weeks ago in his community of a ton of high levelers, and learned a lot of different things. And Adam is an agency owner himself. He's been with the HighLevel world for a couple of years now, and he works with fellow high levelers now, kind of helping them navigate. Pretty successful guy, I would say. So appreciate you jumping into a podcast with us, Adam.
I'm actually super excited. I've been following a lot of these spotlight sessions, and it's just been like, why am I not on one of these yet? Not to pump myself up, but I'm just like, there's so many amazing people in the HighLevel community that get on these calls and just provide a ton of value. And for me, that's literally what we're trying to build right now with our GHL Mastery, is like, just give it away for free because the platform is phenomenal and there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
That I think that most people can't keep up. And so we're doing our best to help them keep up.
Love it. Before we get started with our topic of, HighLevel misunderstood in 2023, help us understand your story. Like, what's your journey? Where did you come from? What kind of an agency did you build? Like, what was your initial journey to entrepreneurship? Let's take like 1 or 2 minutes to just kind of put the story in front of the content that we're going to share today.
Okay, cool. So that's a 12-year journey that I got to do in 60 seconds.
Yes.
I was originally part of a tech company that it did voice over IP installations. I started as a tech at that company, so doing the installs. After 5 or so years, I ended up switching over into the sales side, which was one of those things that I said I would never do as a kid, because I just thought sales was used car salesman, trashy. But I ended up loving it. I ended up excelling at it, and I had an unfair advantage of knowing the tech. I knew how to program the systems. I knew how to install them, and I had a lot of great relationships with clients. So in my first year, that company, I did over $750,000 in revenue, and I beat out sales guys who'd been doing sales for 20 years, and I couldn't believe it. And that started my entrepreneurial mindset that one moment, because I realized, like, I just made this company $750,000 and I made 60. Like, what if I did this for myself? And so that's kind of what got me started. And I started looking into the online world so I could have a little side hustle. And I started with actually drop shipping. And so I taught myself how to do Facebook ads, and I built my own store selling little tungsten rings like this. And that really helped me to understand like the economics of, buying and selling stuff. As well as taught me how to do Facebook ads, but it wasn't super scalable because I had a very low budget. And so I ended up taking all of the things that I had taught myself, building websites, building Facebook campaigns, and migrating that over to working with real estate agents. Because a big part of my foundation as a business owner is I want to make money to invest money so that I can invest into other people and invest into other things for my family. So I wanted to invest in real estate. So real estate made a lot of sense for me to go into that market. And so I actually just started with some family friends, and I ran some ads for them. I got them like 150 leads in a span of 30 days. And I thought I was a god. I thought I was amazing. And then they fired me the next month. And I was like, what's going on right now? Like, I just did so good. And their biggest complaint was, there's too many leads and they're all crap. Right. And I was like, there's no way they're all crap. And so that kind of led me to, okay, now I've got to solve that problem. And that's actually when I found Go High Level. Was I was trying to solve the lead quality problem. And I was at the time I was using ClickFunnels, I was using ActiveCampaign. I think I delved into MailChimp a little bit, and I was kind of just tying all of these things together to try to make it work. And then I found HighLevel, and I really dove into that. And my previous experience as a telecom tech helped me grasp HighLevel very quickly. Um, Long story short, I joined a coaching program that kind of helped me, gave me all the assets, the snapshots, the everything that I needed to be successful in real estate. And I did that for like 2.5 years. In my first year, I did $160,000 with literally just the HighLevel platform, and ended up hating working with real estate agents because I was pulling teeth to try to get them to sell me a $97 product. In the midst of all of that, and this is really important for my journey, is that the coaching program that I was a part of, they just reached out to me and they're like, hey, you're already helping all of our students inside of our program with HighLevel. Do you want to just coach inside of our group? And then you can stay in it for free. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great deal. So I started coaching other people on how to use HighLevel. And I just started to fall in love with that aspect of it and really pushing the limits of what HighLevel could do, and really now solving problems for agencies who are trying to solve problems for their clients. Um, and then that kind of led me to realizing that, okay, real estate's not where the money's at. And we talked about this on our call, Paulson, where it was like, my coach told me to write down a list of the 10 things that I was really good at, write down a list of the 10 problems that those can solve, and then write down a list of, and this is important, 10 different businesses that can pay you what you want to get paid to solve those problems. And so I went through that exercise, and I came into the home services space. And I remember the first time I had a sales call with somebody, and I had to get really outside of my comfort zone because I was used to not being able to sell a $97 reputation management automation. And I started chatting with this contractor and telling him all of the, just basically asking him, like, if you could do X, Y, and Z thing in your business or automate yourself out of something, what would you do? And he just started word vomiting on me. And I was like, I can do that. Like, I can build that. Let me go and put a little test bed together and prove it to you. So I went out and I built a little test bed for it. And I built all of the things that he said he wanted. And it took me about 3 hours to do that. And I brought it back to him and he was just over the moon. He's like, I can't believe this exists. And I was like, well, it didn't exist 3 hours ago. But then I quoted him $5,000 to do this build, and then $297 a month. And he's like, let's go, send me the contract. And I was like, wait, what? Like, no pushback, none at all. And that's kind of where we're at now. And so now we focus almost entirely on doing custom solutions and custom builds, not just for contractors, but we also do them for agency owners that are trying to build custom things for their clients.
Got it. So, Adam, I know you serve hundreds of fellow high levelers now because I came into that community a few weeks ago to do a podcast with you,
Yeah.
which was fantastic. A lot of great feedback from it. But like most people in high level, most people that are starting off in high level, and it may be even hard for you to believe that you're listening to this in the HighLevel podcast from Paulson. And I think HighLevel is misunderstood, right? Like, it's very misunderstood. It's a bit overwhelming, unfortunately. And that's because of the size of the platform. That's also because the different tracks of how people come into the world of HighLevel. And I think it's a great thing for me and you to unpack those misunderstandings. Like, what are some things that you want to just start off with when it comes to the overarching concept of HighLevel misunderstood?
Yeah. So I think that, one of the things, and probably a lot of people that are listening to this will have had this experience. Unfortunately, I think that the online world, it doesn't matter if you're in digital marketing or if you're in SaaS or if you're in graphic design, whatever it is, I think that the online space is just full of guru culture, right? So it's people who have done something really successfully one or two times, and then they start to sell that solution or that idea to people. And so we talked about this a little bit when you were in our group, just about the just the information that's out there for people to consume that can get people really, really excited about a platform and about a product and about a service. And HighLevel offers all of it, right? It offers all of it. And I'm not like capital A, capital L, capital L. And it's super overwhelming. And what most people do, and I think most people's journeys, and this is not a bad thing because this was mine too, and it got me to where I am today. People will buy into HighLevel and they'll get a snapshot that will work for their industries, and snapshots are phenomenal. In fact, I've made a lot of money off of snapshots. But one of the things that I think that limits you is you get a snapshot and now you're trying to understand that snapshot. You're not trying to understand the system as a whole. And I think that once you get out of that realm of like templates and snapshots, and what we do is every single employee that we have, my partner, and then our 3 employees, we all have a sandbox account that we've created in HighLevel that we can just go and build and break things, because we understand that there's massive amounts of potential here. And there's really no problem that you cannot solve. So I think a lot of people get pigeonholed into, and it's interesting because our conversation a couple of weeks ago was like, keep it simple, stupid, right? That was the idea, like sell one thing. And while this is still along the same vein, sell one solution. But you need to understand the ecosystem a little bit more than just snapshots and funnel templates in order to get into that world.
Yeah,
If
when
that
we
makes
when we
sense.
think about the world beyond just snapshots and templates, right? Like if you're brand new to HighLevel or you don't even have an account, what a snapshot is basically, I would say, is a skeleton for an account or a location. And once you build up that skeleton for, let's say, a certain industry or a certain solution, you can then duplicate it, copy it over without having to rebuild it from scratch. So over time, these skeletons or snapshots could get very valuable. They become your IP, they become the blueprint inside of how you fulfill a client. And we do that by design, right? So a lot of
Yeah,
people, I mean, I've heard of people selling snapshots to franchises for over 100 grand plus because
totally.
they have 2-3 years worth of automations built in, and all it takes is one click for you to just launch it into a location. Like that's it. That's all the fulfillment there is.
Well, and
Now,
I think you just
Adam's
made a
point,
perfect point about snapshots, is like what actually snapshots allow you to do is make your fulfillment process almost instantaneous,
yeah.
right? Like for us, we onboard new contractors with our estimator solution and it takes us 3 minutes.
Right. So let me ask you this. How and why are snapshots misunderstood, or templates, the world of snapshots? Like people, do they overvalue it or they don't look at the bigger picture, right? Like they're like, "Oh, I got this snapshot, now I don't need to worry about the strategy behind the client." Is that what you see quite often?
So here's what I see quite often with snapshots. And like you said, a snapshot is basically it's a carbon copy of something already built, right? And so whether you've built that or somebody else has built that and you've purchased it and you're now implementing it, it's a carbon copy of something that somebody else has already built for that industry. The one thing that I have learned, and I'll just say this about snapshots, I have bought tons of them. I've in my first year, I probably spent almost $5,000 on snapshots, and it was some of the best $5,000 that I've ever spent to learn my business. But I will also say that I have never used a single one of them. I have never used a single one of the snapshots that I've purchased. I've taken bits and pieces of those snapshots. And the reason for that, and I think this is the important and the point that we're trying to make here, the reason that I've never used those snapshots is because as soon as I start talking to businesses in that industry, they give me different problems that their business is dealing with.
Yeah, and you're in the
And
custom world, right? Like you do a lot of custom builds for your end client. So it's not a cookie cutter solutions like a lot of times snapshots are kind of designed for.
but let me say this. So yes, you're right, but let me say this. Every single one of our custom builds starts with a snapshot,
Okay,
right? It all starts with a snapshot because we have a baseline of things that are always consistent,
got
right?
it.
Whether that's a baseline pipeline structure or it's specific custom values so that you can customize funnels and websites and things like that. So it always starts there. Um, but I think what people may get lost in, and where high-level misunderstood concept comes in is that while a snapshot can get you out of the gate quick, snapshots aren't sticky necessarily because they're not solving a specific problem for a specific business. And I'm not talking about a niche, because I think most snapshots that are built for niches do actually cover those niches pretty well. But when you're trying to make a lot of money with HighLevel, selling a snapshot for $297 a month may not solve that problem for that company. And I realized this very quickly working with real estate agents, is that the snapshots that I had built and put together weren't solving the specific problems that the agent had. And so I was constantly modifying and changing and adjusting things to try to solve for those problems, so that they didn't have to solve them themselves, and they would pay me the $1,500 to $2,000 a month to operate their marketing. And so that's where I really started to realize that there's so much more potential here to solve specific problems for businesses, and then they're willing to pay you for it.
So
Which
Adam,
is wild.
I want to ask you this. So so it's one thing to really see the concept of a snapshot and templates and all of that. And I think a lot of people, like you said, they get drowned in it. It's overvalued or undervalued, but either way, it should all lead to a world of revenue for a business, right? Like that's
100%.
the whole point. So like the second thing I want you to kind of highlight is unlocking the revenue potential of HighLevel in general. Like I feel like a lot of agencies don't understand HighLevel well enough, and if they do, they either don't price themselves properly or they talk to the wrong client. Whatever it is, like how can an agency unlock the revenue potential with custom builds?
So I think that's a really challenging question, and I can speak to my own story. I'm a techie, right? I'm a tech guy. I can build. You tell me what you want. I can probably build it pretty quickly. One of the areas that I struggle in, and I think that as I've built this community for myself inside HighLevel, one of the biggest common struggles is sales, right? And they struggle to sell a solution to a business. And oftentimes it's because of they're trying to sell a solution that is already built, but it's not actually, and this goes back to our conversation too. It's like sell one thing to get your foot in the door. And I think that every single agency that starts with HighLevel must start there, right? They must start there. Don't sell HighLevel. Sell a solution, a single solution like missed call text back or reputation management, and then start to value stack from there. And what that's going to end up doing is that's going to end up teaching you over time how to actually sell, which is, in my opinion, my personal opinion, it's the hardest thing to do because I'm not a great salesperson. But it'll teach you how to sell a single solution. And then in that, you're also going to learn the HighLevel structures and the ecosystem that you can operate within. And then over time, you are just going to learn the platform. And I think that a lot of new HighLevel agencies, and even some of the agencies that are in our private group, and me included, I always wanted to go faster than I was, right? I was always 6 months ahead of myself in my own brain when it came to my revenue numbers. And I was never comfortable just learning it and sitting in the process. And so one of the things that I have learned over time, and I've probably said this more times than I can count, there's so much more that you can do with HighLevel once you understand what HighLevel can do.
Yeah,
Right?
there's over I think 300 or 400 plus features, and we don't mean it to be overwhelming, honestly, but the reality is there's like 15 or 16 plus different types of agencies, right? You have the SEO
Totally.
guys that work with the influencers, or the influencers who have SMS marketing, or then the video creators that have drop shipping issues. Like there's so many different avatars even within the agency world that we build features for. And if you don't know this, we roll out new features at least once every 3
At a
days.
breakneck pace.
Yeah, like
Breakneck
every
pace.
3 days, you'll see a new feature inside HighLevel. And it's because we're agency owners ourselves. The folks that built HighLevel, our leadership team, like we're all agency owners. So we listen to our customer base, and all you have to do is go to like ideas.gohighlevel.com and put an idea there, and we typically go build it out if it's relevant. So like
Yeah.
the pace of the development is very, very fast, and it's really hard to keep up. And like literally in 2 weeks, you'll be outdated with a certain feature. And that's one of the biggest reasons of why people misunderstand HighLevel. They come in from an affiliate or an ecosystem, and they thought they're getting this, and by the time they got there, it's like already the 2.0 version of it.
Yeah.
But either way, unlocking your revenue potential. So like, what are the ranges people can expect when it comes to the custom world? Like, I am personally not familiar with it myself, so I would love to get an idea of like, what do you normally charge? What are the potentials of what you can charge? How do you park them into a subscription after? Because obviously subscription is what matters more than that upfront revenue. Help us kind of understand that and just navigate through that.
Sure. So one of the things that I see often is people are scared to charge more. And that was me. I put myself in that category, right? I couldn't sell a $97 reputation management solution to a realtor to save my life. I was terrified when I gave a $5,000 quote to build something that I knew for me was going to take me 3 hours. I was like, this guy will be insane to say yes to this. And I honestly, at that time, I made up that number. Like I just made it up. I was just like, yeah, I can do that. It sounds like it's a high value build for you. I didn't say that, but in my mind, that's what I was thinking. And I just threw it out there and I said, it's $5,000. And I couldn't believe he said yes. I probably could have quoted him $10,000 and he probably would have said yes. And so it's get over the fear of
The number.
valuing your
Yeah.
solution and as a number. Because I think that a lot of especially new agency owners undervalue what they're actually providing, or they're just not confident that they know the system well enough to charge for it. So you see a lot of free stuff going out. And I'm inside my own group. I always say never do free. Like do a low ticket paid trial, and that's going to do wonders for your business. Um, the other component of this was that understanding the value that you can bring to a business, not on a dollars per hour figure, but on a value to business figure. And the reason that I came up with that is, even like a year and a half ago, I was charging people $125 an hour to do work. Then when I quoted that guy $5,000 to do 3 hours of work, I was like, damn, that would have been $375 if I just quoted him my hourly rate. And so I've kind of learned to ask questions to figure out what the value potential would be, whether that's revenue potential for the company or time revenue. So I ask them, what do you value your time at per hour? And now I have a value that I can start to plug in. Okay, well, if they charge $100 an hour and I'm going to save them 10 hours a week, that's $1,000 an hour that I am saving them. And so I start to break things down in that way. And then when I go, it'll be $6,000. That's 6 months of their time that I've just saved them by creating this solution. And then you asked about like, hey, how do I roll them over? Well, the way that I do it is this is a software, just like Salesforce is a software. And by the way, Salesforce is a beast of a software that I've used for 10 years with that other company that I mentioned earlier. Salesforce is really expensive. Like it's really expensive. If you get into the marketing and sales add-ons to Salesforce, it's in the five to tens of thousands of dollars a month. And it's really complex and difficult to program. I have a pretty good programming brain, and I've seen the back end of Salesforce, and it is very difficult to understand. So what ends up happening is people will buy this $5,000 CRM every month, and then they will pay $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a Salesforce specialist to set it up for them. And this is the kind of stuff when you start to realize what HighLevel can actually do in comparison to these CRMs, you're like, it ain't far off. So why are we undervaluing the service that we can provide with this software to solve specific problems by giving them something for $297 a month? So the way that I I rationalized that in my own brain was knowing what they're paying for their own CRMs in other areas and charging them accordingly for a build. So I take some of that CRM money that they would be spending at $1,500, $5,000 a month, and I will bill them $5,000 to $10,000 to do a custom build, and then I will charge them $297 or $497 a month to maintain their subscription or their solution. And for me, what that has done for our business, anyways, is that has just created stickiness. We don't have nearly as much churn as we used to because we weren't plugging in a plug and play solution anymore. We were custom building it. And then it solved a specific problem for that business, and they want that problem to stay solved. So they stick with us. And then they come back and they ask us more. Hey, can you do this? Sure, let's do that too. And then we charge them another build fee. And it's just this cycle. And it's, to me, it's way more exciting because I just nerd out anytime somebody tells me. In fact, my coach came up to me one time. He called me right after I dropped my kids off at school, and he said, I have this idea, and I am like 100% sure that HighLevel can't do it. But I wanted to ask you anyways. And so the challenge that he has is he has sales reps, he's got appointment setters, and then he's got, himself and his partner, and they wanted to have commission splits pre-done based on a form fill. So who was the setter? Was the setter also the closer? Or was there a setter and a different closer? And did either one of them have to assist on the sale before it went through? And there's 4 different commission split types that they would do. And I said, yeah, give me a couple hours. And I built that solution in a couple of hours using math functions and just logic of hey, fill out this form. This is the total value of the opportunity. This was the setter and this was the sales rep. And was there an assist? Yes or no? Those are the only things I had to know. And I was able to build out this entire calculator to determine what commission had to go to each setter and to the closer. And that's just a super basic, simple idea of if you know how to think about what HighLevel can do, there is nothing that you cannot do. And for the record, the person who asked me that question was the person who I am under as an affiliate. He had HighLevel right at the very beginning, right? And so he knew the system and thought it couldn't be done. And I was able to do it in just a couple of hours because I've spent time dissecting snapshots, dissecting other people's stuff, figuring out, and put it this way, snapshots are actually amazing. I know I kind of poo-pooed them a little bit in the beginning, but without snapshots, I would not have learned at the pace that I did. And so anytime somebody asks me, should I buy this snapshot? I'll say yes. A, because you're helping another high-level agency owner succeed, and B, because that is going to help you understand the system so that you can succeed, whether you use that snapshot for yourself or not.
Yeah, and I know that the managed service provider business model is not a new one, right? So in the IT industry, that world of consulting was built on it. Like you buy a
Yeah.
solution or software, you have to wait for the rep to come in and set it all up. And so that bridge model, right? We're asking today that agencies become that bridge for the local markets, those areas that but nobody's serving them. Like Adam said, like, I mean, you want to jump into a Salesforce solution, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. Then you have to get a rep. Imagine that as a small business owner. It's nearly impossible. And then HighLevel could pretty much do 90% of what Salesforce can do today. Of course, it's not the same thing. They started in the 90s. It'll be very, arrogant for us to compare, right? That's a massive business. But the business model that they created already exists. They've already proven it to us. Now, the agency owner is the new hat that a local market needs, or even a franchise market that needs it in adopting something like Adam's saying. So, Adam, the third thing I want to ask you is understanding the ecosystem in order to land big fish clients, right? Like what I like the model you're talking about, especially if I'm gonna be a techie, I want to sell my time, I want to build out, I like building. If I'm that builder mentality person and I want to land bigger projects, like what are some things that you suggest?
So one of the things that I've learned in my many struggles of sales is that when you learn to ask the right questions, you can come up with the right solutions. And so one of the things that I still struggle with this to this day, Paulson. It's like I'm on a constant journey of growth and just getting better at what I do in all these different areas of business. But I don't come into a conversation anymore knowing the solution that I have. And what I mean by that is I don't have a snapshot that does a specific thing that I'm going to try to see if I can fit that square peg into the round hole that they need. Right. And so the sales calls are a lot more enjoyable for me because all I'm doing is I'm asking them, one of the main questions that I ask everybody is like, what are you using today? Like, what are you using and what problems is that solving for your business? And then what problems is it not solving? Like if you could solve one thing that would either make you more money or save you more time with that you could automate in your business, what would it be? And I'm always shocked to hear them word vomit everything onto me that they wish their company or their CRM or their business structure could do. And because I don't have any predetermined system that I'm trying to sell them, I have a deep understanding of what the platform can do. And I can just check the boxes in my head as I'm on this sales call. Yep, HighLevel can do this. Yep, I can do that. Okay, this requires a Zap to do, but yes, I can also do that. Right. And so I'm just building this checklist of things in my head that I know that I can solve for. And then at the end of that conversation, it's what would that do for your business if you didn't have to do those things, or if those things were automated, how would that free up your time? And then one of my sales coach Rahul taught me like get them to put a value on that. Right? If you had 10 more hours a week in your business because you didn't have to do that, what would you do with it? Right? Would you sell more? Would you spend more time with your family? Would you, bank up and go on vacations? Like, what would you do with it? Now you make it personal for
Yeah.
them to see that the value is actually there when you come at them with a $5,000 ticket. Right. And it's just more fun.
Yeah.
It's way more fun because now I'm actually, like I said, I'm not smashing a square peg into a round hole anymore. I'm finding their hole and I'm filling it.
Yeah.
Right. With a custom built solution.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that we end up doing is things that we've learned HighLevel at such a high level that we know, how do custom fields and custom values interact with each other? How does a numeric custom field work within a text field or vice versa? So that we can now start to put together different solutions. And I'll give you an example. And this is probably something that you're going to hear and you're going to take it to the devs and they're going to fix it. But did you know that an order form filled out in a workflow, the order total value is actually a text field? It's not a numeric field.
Oh,
So when you go and you put that order total value in an opportunity as an opportunity value, it doesn't actually calculate it.
interesting.
Because it's a text field, not a numeric field, and you need a numeric field to do a calculation. So one of the things that we do is we use the features within HighLevel to make this thing work. And so what we've done is anytime an order form gets submitted, we take that, we create a second workflow, and we create an inbound webhook as the trigger. And so when an order form's filled out on this workflow over here, we immediately just webhook the data to this other workflow. Because once you have a webhook data, you can take that information, parse it out, and make it a numeric field. And now I can do math functions off of that. Right now I can do a lot of different things with it. And so it's that type of level of understanding that allows us to do really crazy custom stuff. Right. And I'll tell you, we use math functions a lot for a lot of different things. We're building one right now that is for a DJ that he's got, a contract date, he's got a contract due date, he's got an event date, and he has a deposit and balance due date. So he's got all of these different dates that all we need on the form is the date of the event. And then we do the rest inside our system.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys know what you're doing and you guys are doing a great job with your clients. So this session today, we talked about really HighLevel being misunderstood in 2023. Our first discussion was the world beyond snapshots and templates. The second was unlocking your revenue potential with high level builds. And then last, just really learning and understanding how to land big fish clients. Adam, any final words before we kind of close out? I know you have a great Facebook community. I came on there a few weeks ago, did a session. I think it's called, is it GHL Mastery, or was that?
Yeah, GHL
Okay.
Mastery is
Okay.
it's a totally free group. We do weekly live trainings in there. One of the new things that we just started doing is high level workshops on Fridays. And what we're doing with those workshops is exactly in line with what we've been talking about today, is just understanding each element of the system. And so right now, we just started it 2 weeks ago. We're on week 3 tomorrow. And we're starting with the high level basics, right? Like understanding your assets. So we spent 45 minutes just talking about custom values and custom fields. We spent another 45 minutes talking about forms and surveys. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about calendars. And just, we're doing it in a fashion of, in the order of operations that we would actually do one of these custom builds, because every custom build requires custom values and custom fields. Every custom build requires forms and surveys. They all require calendars. You build your assets first to build your workflows and your automations. And so, that's one thing. If people are interested in learning, that's completely free. Everything that we do inside that group, weekly training, is completely free. And our goal is just to get people to understand what they have. Absolutely. I don't think people understand what they have. And I want to leave this as an encouragement, and we can close out on this if you're okay with it, but if you're new to high level or you're thinking about high level, just take my word for it, take Paulson's word for it, that you have so much more than you think you have in this platform. And so do not be afraid to sell big. That's what I'll leave it at. Don't be afraid to sell big, because you actually have a ton of value in your back pocket. And if you're not 100% sure if you can do something, send me a DM and I'll tell you, because that's my goal, is just to make high level super users that can just make more money. Because we all have that potential. We have this amazing software in our back pockets that, you can do the SaaS model, and that's going to work, and that can get you a ton of money. You can do the custom model, and that's going to work and make you a ton of money. You can do an SEO model, that's going to work, and it's going to make you a ton of money, right? Yep. You just, once you know what it can do, the sky is the limit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Adam, for jumping on a podcast with us. I appreciate you. I know there was a lot of scheduling back and forth between us, so appreciate your patience on that as well. And if you are brand new to high level, or don't even have an account, you're watching this in our YouTube channel, I recommend just jumping on a 14-day trial. We're normal guys, normal people that are agency owners that built this platform. You can jump in on an onboarding call for free. You could find great people like Adam, and they have ecosystems around high level, even if you don't come directly to us. Either way, we appreciate you. Adam, I'm hoping to see you in one of our events. I know you said you might be sitting out on this summit.
I'll be daddy daycaring this October, but I will make it. I'm making it a goal to make it next year. So
or come to one of our come to one of our masterminds. So we do every single quarter as well. But Adam, thank you for doing a session with us. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Those of you that are watching, we appreciate you again, and we'll have another session for you soon.
Love it. Thanks, Paulson. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Take care.